A woman in Georgia left her house this morning doing everything right. Seatbelt on, phone in the mount, speed limit respected, stopped at every red light. She got pulled over anyway. And by the time that stop was over, she was looking at a $900 fine, 3 points on her license, and a court date she never saw coming. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't distracted. She just didn't know about the law that changed 19 days before that stop. And here's the part that should stop you cold. She did exactly what millions of drivers do every single day. She drove the way she was taught. She followed the rules she memorized years ago. She had no idea those rules had been rewritten. That's what 2026 has done to drivers across this country. Quietly, efficiently, and expensively. Right now, as you watch this, there are 10 driving laws actively being enforced that most Americans simply don't know exist. We're not talking about minor clarifications or small tweaks. We're talking about laws that fundamentally change what you're allowed to do behind the wheel, where you're allowed to park, how your car communicates with the outside world, and in some cases, whether your car is even allowed to move. The fines start at $150. They go all the way up to $5,000. And in several states, we're now talking about criminal charges for violations that would have been a simple warning 2 years ago. Here's what makes 2026 different from every other year of driving law changes. 3 things happened at once. Federal mandates kicked in, state-level enforcement technology went fully live, and insurance companies were given legal access to data they have never had before. Those 3 things colliding at the same time created a perfect storm for drivers who aren't paying attention. You're paying attention. So, let's get into it, starting with number 10. You already know school zones have lower speed limits. What you don't know is that in 2026, those zones just got a lot bigger, a lot smarter, and a lot harder to escape. As of January 1st, 21 states have officially expanded the legal definition of a school zone. Previously, a school zone was defined as the immediate stretch of road directly in front of a school building, typically a quarter mile on either side. That definition is over. The new standard includes any road within a half-mile radius of a school property line. That includes side streets, residential roads, even highway on-ramps if they fall within the boundary. But here's where it gets aggressive. The cameras enforcing these zones are no longer stationary. 11 states have now deployed mobile school zone enforcement units. These are unmarked vans parked legally on the side of the road, equipped with radar and camera systems that can clock and photograph your vehicle from 500 feet away. You don't see a cop, you don't see a camera, you see a regular van parked on a side street. 3 weeks later, you get a $350 ticket in the mail with a photo of your license plate and a timestamp showing you were going 29 in a 20. And here's the twist that's catching careful drivers. The school zone hours have changed. It's not just 8 to 9 in the morning and 3 to 4 in the afternoon anymore. In states like Illinois, Ohio, and New Jersey, school zone speed limits are now in effect from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon on any day the school calendar shows activity. That includes half-days, teacher workdays, after-school programs, even Saturday tutoring sessions. If school is open for any reason, the zone is active. If the zone is active and you're going even 1 mile over the limit, that camera doesn't care about context. It just records and sends. The fines in these expanded zones start at $250 for a first offense and double to $500 for a second offense within 18 months. The action step here is simple. Don't assume you know where your local school zones begin and end. They've moved. Pull up your state's Department of Transportation website and check the updated zone maps for every school near your regular driving routes. This takes 10 minutes and could save you $1,000. Moving to number 9. For decades, there was an unwritten rule every driver understood. When a traffic light turns yellow, you've got a moment, a beat, just enough time to make a decision and clear the intersection safely. That unwritten rule officially died on January 1st, 2026. 14 states have now synchronized their new high-definition automated enforcement systems with the exact millisecond a traffic light turns red. And here's what changed that nobody is talking about. Previously, most red light cameras had a built-in buffer, usually about half a second. It was a recognition that humans cannot react with perfect, computer-like precision. That buffer is now gone. If your rear tires are even 1 inch behind the white line when that light hits red, the system triggers automatically. There's no officer to explain yourself to, no argument about how you were already committed to the intersection. The camera captures everything, and 2 weeks later, a citation for $250 shows up in your mail. But here's where it gets worse. In states like Florida, New York, and California, these technical violations are now being reported directly to insurance companies. Not as accidents, not as moving violations that you can fight in court, just as data points. One of these tickets, even if you pay it quietly, can cost you over $1,000 in premium increases over the next 3 years. The cameras aren't using old technology anymore. They're using advanced motion sensors that can detect your vehicle's position down to the centimeter. They're not evaluating whether you safely cleared the intersection. They're running a simple calculation. Did your vehicle complete its crossing before the light changed? If the answer is no, even by a fraction of a second, you're getting a ticket. The action step here is direct. When you see a yellow light, stop. The margin for error is now 0. Treat every yellow light as if it's going to turn red the moment your front bumper touches the intersection. Because in the eyes of the law, it does. Number 8. You already know you can't text and drive. That's been the law in most states for years. But in 2026, the definition of distracted has been legally weaponized in ways that are catching thousands of drivers completely off guard. New laws in Ohio, Pennsylvania, California, Arizona, and 11 other states have moved to primary enforcement for any device contact whatsoever. Here's the part that's getting people. It is now illegal in these states to even hold your phone while stopped at a red light. Let that sink in for a moment. Your car is not moving. You're sitting at a red light. You pick up your phone to change the music or check a notification. In 2026, that is a ticket. If an AI camera mounted on a bridge or a patrol car catches a device in your hand while your vehicle is on a public roadway, it's an automatic point on your record. The law now states that as long as the vehicle is operational and on a public road, the device must be in a fixed mount. Touch it once to skip a song? Violation. Pick it up to hand it to a passenger? Violation. But here's what most people are missing entirely. The real danger isn't the ticket. It's what happens if you get into an accident with your phone in your hand, even if the accident wasn't your fault. Your insurance company can now argue contributory negligence based on these 2026 statutes. That's a legal term that means they can deny your claim entirely. You could be sitting still at a red light, get rear-ended by another driver, but because you had your phone in your hand while waiting, your insurance company can use that to reduce or completely eliminate your payout. And this connects directly to the mounting restrictions that are catching thousands of drivers who think they're already being responsible. You probably think having your phone in a mount makes you legal. Up until 2026, you were right. Not anymore. 17 states have now passed laws that regulate exactly where on your windshield or dashboard you can mount your phone. In states like California, Arizona, and Florida, your phone must now be mounted in the lower right corner of your windshield or on the dashboard itself. If it's mounted in the center of your windshield, even behind your rearview mirror, that is now a ticketable offense. Check your state's DMV website for approved mounting zones. If you're not sure, dashboard mounting is legal everywhere. Put it on the dashboard, not the windshield. Number 7. You're used to moving over for police cars and ambulances. That's been drilled into you since driver's education. But as of January 1st, 2026, the move over law has gone national with a massive expansion that most drivers don't know about. Here's the new rule. If you see any vehicle on the shoulder with its hazard lights on, you are now legally required to take action. It doesn't matter if it's a police cruiser, an ambulance, or someone changing a flat tire on the side of the highway. If the hazards are flashing, you must either vacate the lane closest to them or slow down to 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. Failure to do so is no longer a warning. In multiple jurisdictions, this has been classified as reckless endangerment. The fines start at $400. How are they catching people? Police are now using side-view cameras mounted on patrol cars to record drivers who pass stranded motorists without moving over. Highway cameras, and in some states, drones are being used to spot violations. If you're caught, there's no arguing your way out of it. The footage shows exactly what you did. And here's the enforcement trap that drivers are hitting in heavy traffic. The cameras don't care about traffic flow. They only see your speed and your lane position. If you couldn't safely move over because traffic was packed in the next lane, slow down visibly and make it obvious you're making a genuine effort to comply. Tap your brakes. Create clear separation. Make your compliance visible to any camera or officer watching. Number 6. This one sounds too simple to matter, but it's already catching thousands of drivers in 2026, and the fines are adding up fast. 29 states now legally require full headlights anytime your windshield wipers are on, regardless of the time of day. Rain, sleet, snow, fog, mist. If your wipers are moving, your headlights need to be on. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. This law now includes those light drizzles where you're only using intermittent wipers. You know those days where it's barely misting and you hit the wipers every 10 or 15 seconds just to clear the occasional drop? Your headlights need to be on. If they're not and a traffic camera sees you, that's a $150 ticket in the mail 2 weeks later with a high-resolution photo of your car in the rain with the lights off. And here's what people get wrong constantly. They think daytime running lights count as headlights. They don't. The law requires full headlights, which means your taillights need to be illuminated too. If only your front lights are on, you're still in violation in most states. The camera sees front lights on, but tail lights off, and the ticket still prints. The fix is simple. Wipers on equals headlights on every single time. Don't rely on automatic headlights. Don't assume daytime running lights are enough. If your wipers make one single pass across that windshield, your hand should move to the headlight switch. Make it automatic. Make it unconscious. Number 5. This is perhaps the most pretextual law of 2026. In 14 states, including Minnesota, California, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Illinois, New Mexico, Virginia, Georgia, Louisiana, Kansas, Ohio, Wisconsin, Kentucky, and Oklahoma, you cannot hang anything from your rearview mirror anymore. Air fresheners, graduation tassels, parking passes, religious items, anything. If it's hanging from your mirror and an officer can see it, that is a ticketable offense. The fine is usually between $50 and $150. That's not the real problem. Here's the real problem. This violation gives a police officer probable cause to pull you over. Think about what that means. An officer doesn't need to see you speeding, doesn't need to see you swerving, doesn't need to see any moving violation at all. They just need to see something hanging from your mirror. That's enough legal justification to initiate a stop. And once you're pulled over, they can investigate for other violations. They can ask to search your vehicle. They can run your license. The air freshener is just the key that unlocked the door. Take everything off your mirror today. Put air fresheners in your vents. Put parking passes on your dashboard. Do not give an officer a reason to pull you over that is this easy to eliminate. Number 4. This is the most emotional change of 2026, and it matters even if you're not in this age bracket because chances are you know someone who is. As the baby boomer generation hits age 80 in record numbers, the Department of Transportation has authorized states to implement mandatory cognitive screening for drivers over 65. Renewing your license after that age is no longer a simple vision test in several pilot states, including California, Florida, Illinois, and Michigan. The process now includes a digital cognitive assessment administered on a tablet at the DMV. It tests reaction time, spatial awareness, and how well you can maintain focus while managing distractions. But the part that has advocacy groups calling this an unprecedented attack on senior independence is what's called the Physician Reporting Law. This law now requires doctors to notify the DMV if a patient shows signs of cognitive decline that could impair driving. You go in for a routine checkup. You're 72 years old. The doctor notices some memory issues. The doctor is now legally required to report this to the DMV. The DMV then initiates a review of your driving privileges. You may be required to take a road test. You may have your license suspended pending evaluation. The assessments are new. The standards are still being developed, and early reports suggest that digital tests are catching people who have driven safely for 50 years, but aren't comfortable with tablet-based testing. If you or a loved one are approaching this age bracket, the 2026 renewal process is not a formality anymore. It is a high-stakes evaluation. Practice with technology before going to the DMV. Don't assume everything will be fine, because the system is no longer designed to let you slide through. We are at the midpoint, and I need you to understand something before we continue. The first 4 laws we just covered are expensive. They'll cost you money, maybe a court date. What's coming next is different in kind, not just in degree. The top 3 involve surveillance technology, criminal charges, insurance consequences that follow you for a decade, and in one case, a federal mandate that is already inside every new car rolling off the assembly line right now. If you're finding this valuable, make sure you're subscribed, because the top 3 are where this gets serious. Stay with me. Number 3. This is the one most drivers are missing completely, and it is already responsible for more citations in the first quarter of 2026 than any other law on this list. This is not about how your car performs when it's moving. This is about what your car is doing when it's sitting still. And if you're a parent waiting in a school pickup line, a delivery driver finishing paperwork, a commuter stuck in traffic with the heat running, or anyone who ever sits in a running car for more than a few minutes, this law is aimed directly at you. As of January 2026, 23 states have enacted or significantly expanded vehicle idling restrictions. The basic rule is this. In these states, it is now illegal for a non-commercial vehicle to idle for more than 3 minutes in any location while not in active traffic flow. That means a parking lot, a school pickup line, a drive-through, a residential street, your own driveway. If it's visible from a public road in some jurisdictions, 3 minutes. That's the entire window. But here's the part that is catching people who thought they were following the rule. The law doesn't reset when you turn the car off and back on. In 8 of those 23 states, including New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Minnesota, and Connecticut, the idle clock is cumulative per location per hour. If you turn your car off for 30 seconds, then back on, that doesn't reset the clock. You need to be off for at least 10 consecutive minutes for the timer to reset. A mother in New Jersey was waiting in a school pickup line for 22 minutes with the heat on. She turned the car off for about a minute at one point when the line wasn't moving, then turned it back on. She received a $500 citation. When she challenged it in court, the officer produced a timestamp log from the school zone enforcement camera showing the cumulative idle time. She lost. The judge cited the non-reset provision of the 2026 state idle law specifically. And here is where it becomes a cascading problem. The fine for a first offense ranges from $250 to $500 depending on the state. A second offense within 12 months doubles that. But here's the piece that should truly alarm you. In states like New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, enforcement of this law has been assigned not just to police officers, but to environmental compliance officers who have the authority to issue citations without a traffic stop. They walk through parking lots. They stand outside school pickup zones. They walk along the curb during events. If they observe your vehicle idling beyond the threshold, they photograph the license plate, document the time, and mail the citation. You never see them coming. You never get a warning. Over 19,000 idle violation citations were issued in New York alone in the first 2 months of 2026. More than 60% of those went to drivers who had no prior knowledge the law had changed. The citation itself is logged as a vehicle equipment violation, not a moving violation. This matters because vehicle equipment violations in most states go directly to your insurance company as a policy note, not points on your license, a flag in your insurance profile. And insurance companies in 2026 are now legally using these flags to calculate risk tier during annual renewals. 3 idle citations and some insurers are flagging you in the same risk category as a driver with a minor at-fault accident. Your premium goes up not because of how you drive, but because of where you parked while your engine was running. The 23 states currently enforcing this are New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Minnesota, California, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Hawaii, Nevada, and Arizona. If you're in any of these states, your idle clock is running the moment you stop moving. Know the 3-minute limit. Take it seriously. And if you must wait in a warm or cool car, use your vehicle's auxiliary mode or set a timer. Stop thinking of a running parked car as harmless, because in 23 states, it now carries the same level of enforcement attention as running a red light. Number 2. This one doesn't happen on the road. It happens in a server room somewhere with your name on a file, and the consequences land in your mailbox, your insurance statement, and in some cases, your court documents. Modern vehicles are computers on wheels. Every car manufactured after 2018 is collecting data. Speed, braking force, acceleration patterns, lane departure frequency, hard cornering events, location history, time of day you typically drive, how often you exceed posted speed limits by any margin. All of it is collected and stored. Previously, that data was protected under privacy laws that made it difficult for third parties to access without your explicit consent. 2026 changed that. Under updated federal provisions that took effect in January 2026, vehicle manufacturers are now required to make specific categories of safety-relevant driving data available to insurance carriers and state DMV systems upon request, and without individual driver consent, as long as the data falls within defined safety parameters. Those parameters include speeding frequency, hard braking events, rapid acceleration patterns, and what the law calls erratic vehicle dynamics. Collectively, those 4 categories cover nearly every aspect of how you actually drive. What this means in practice is that your insurance company doesn't have to wait for an accident to evaluate your risk. They don't have to wait for you to opt into a telematics program. They can now request a standardized safety report from your vehicle's manufacturer every time your policy comes up for renewal. That report shows your driving behavior over the past 12 months. Drivers in Texas, Florida, Ohio, and Georgia who received renewal quotes in early 2026 and saw unexpected premium increases are now learning that their vehicle's own data was the cause. Not accidents, not tickets, just driving behavior that the algorithm flagged as elevated risk. But here's where this escalates from a financial issue to a legal one. In 9 states, the same vehicle data access provisions that give insurers the right to your driving data also give law enforcement agencies access through a significantly simplified judicial process. Previously, getting telematics data from a vehicle manufacturer required a lengthy legal procedure. Now, for accidents involving injuries, hit-and-run investigations, or suspected impaired driving, law enforcement can issue a data request to the manufacturer with a standard 48-hour turnaround. If you're involved in any accident in these 9 states, your car's data is potentially evidence before you've even spoken to a lawyer. Everything you did in the 30 minutes before that accident is in a file that a prosecutor can request. Every speed, every hard brake, every rapid acceleration, all of it time-stamped and admissible. The 9 states currently operating under this streamlined access law are Texas, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, Virginia, and North Carolina. Here's what you need to do right now. Go into your vehicle's infotainment system and find the privacy or data sharing settings. It's usually buried under connected services or privacy settings in the main menu. Look for data sharing options with third parties and opt out of every optional sharing agreement you can find. Not all sharing can be opted out of under the new federal provisions, but anything labeled as voluntary or optional still requires your consent. Second, contact your insurance carrier and ask them directly whether they are utilizing manufacturer safety data reports in your current policy rating. You have a right to know. Third, and this is the most important thing, drive like your car is recording because it is. Every single trip without exception. And now we arrive at number 1. The biggest change in the history of driving, the one that changes the car from a tool of freedom into a monitored privilege. And as of this year, it is no longer a theory or a future possibility. It is the law for every new vehicle rolling off the assembly line. Under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, Section 24220, all new passenger vehicles are now required to be equipped with advanced impaired driving prevention technology. The legal term is passive monitoring. The functional name that the public has correctly identified for it is the federal kill switch. And as of 2026, it is standard in every new car you can buy. Here is how it works. This system uses internal sensors and cameras to monitor the driver continuously. Eye-tracking cameras mounted on the steering column or rear-view mirror track your gaze and pupil dilation. If the system detects signs of fatigue, distraction, or the glassy-eyed look associated with intoxication, it flags the driver. Touch-based sensors in some models can read alcohol levels through skin contact. And the car's computer tracks your steering inputs and braking patterns, analyzing whether your reactions fall within what it considers sober behavior. If the artificial intelligence determines you are impaired, the car doesn't just warn you. The law mandates the system must limit or prevent the operation of the vehicle. This could mean the car won't start in your driveway, or it could mean the vehicle limits your speed and forces you to pull over. Your car decides you can't drive, and you have to convince a machine that doesn't have a reason with me button. Here's the part nobody is fully discussing yet. These systems produce false positives. If you're rubbing your eyes because of seasonal allergies, the system flags it. If you're exhausted after a long shift, the AI sees impaired. If you swerve slightly to avoid a pothole, the behavioral analysis might classify that as intoxicated reaction timing. If you're crying and your eyes are red, the system doesn't know the difference between grief and drunk driving. And once it engages, you are stuck on the side of the road waiting for someone to come verify you're safe to drive in your own car that you paid for. Furthermore, 2026 has introduced remote shutdown capability. In states like California, laws now allow law enforcement to request a vehicle's shutdown if it's identified in a high-speed pursuit. The technology to do this is now standard equipment. In 2026, the car is no longer your sanctuary. It's an extension of the enforcement system. If you're buying a new car in 2026, this system is in it. There's no opting out. There's no delete option. There's no way to disable it without voiding your warranty and potentially committing a federal violation. If you're keeping your older car, you're protected for now. But as these systems accumulate data and prove their legal standing, states will begin exploring retrofit requirements. That is the trajectory we are on. There it is, 10 laws, all of them active right now, all of them being enforced today, and not a single one of them made it into the mainstream news cycle with enough clarity for regular drivers to understand and act on it. But now you know. So here is exactly what you do before you get back in your car. First, map out every school zone on your regular routes and verify the new expanded boundaries. The zones are larger than you think, and the cameras watching them are invisible. If you don't know where the zone ends, assume it extends further than you expect. Second, treat every yellow light as a red light. The buffer is gone. The cameras are calibrated to the centimeter and the millisecond. There is no more coasting through on amber.
Third, take your phone off the center of your windshield and move it to the dashboard or the lower right corner, and never pick it up at a red light. Not for music, not for navigation, not for anything. Fourth, look for hazard lights on the shoulder every time you drive. Move over if you can. If you can't, slow down visibly and make it obvious to any camera watching that you're trying to comply. Fifth, make wipers and headlights the same action. They are now legally connected in 29 states. One triggers the other every single time, no exceptions. Sixth, take everything off your rearview mirror today. Air fresheners, tassels, parking passes, everything. Put them in your vents or on your dashboard. Don't give an officer probable cause to stop you for something this easy to fix. Seventh, go into your car's privacy settings tonight and opt out of every voluntary data sharing agreement you can find. Your car is reporting your driving behavior to your insurance company. Manage what it says. Eighth, know the idle law. If you're in any of the 23 states listed, your 3-minute window is running the moment you stop moving. Time it. Take it seriously. A running parked car is now a citable offense with enforcement you will never see coming and fines that show up in your mailbox with a timestamp and a photo. Ninth, set your insurance on automatic payment. With real-time DMV database integration now active in multiple states, even a 24-hour lapse in coverage can trigger an automatic flag on your plate. One pass by a license plate reader and your car gets pulled over. One missed payment and you're impounded on the spot. And 10th, if you're buying a new car in 2026, understand what you're getting. The kill switch is real. It is mandatory. It is watching you every time you drive, and there is no way to turn it off. You now know what the vast majority of drivers on the road right now don't know. These laws are not theoretical. They are not pilot programs in distant states that don't affect you. They are being enforced this week, this hour, on roads that look exactly like the roads you drive every day. The system in 2026 is not designed to warn you. It's designed to catch you. Now you know how to make sure it doesn't.